Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. A few months ago, when I first met who I now call Eve Curry, she's a distant cousin of Eve Curry. She's half Polish and loves literature. We went to a Thai restaurant, and the one of the waiters was giving her too much attention, and she actually agreed with me afterwards. Needless to say, I didn't want to tip him. I think the total came out to some number, and I just rounded it up to the next dollar. So I gave him like a 20 some cent tip out of a 60 some dollar meal. And after I got home, I realized that he had added a $10 charge to my credit card. And I called the owner to complain. And so I told the owner that he needed to Donald Trump the waiter for not only inappropriate eye contact and remarks, but also then adding the tip. And I begged the owner to Donald Trump him. And the owner said he wasn't going to make any promises, but he'll look into it. They have really good surveillance, so he could actually look into what happened. And what was really nice was that when I said Donald Trump, the owner didn't even question what it meant. He knew what it meant. He was like, "Yeah, I'll look into it." He didn't say like, "What do you mean by Donald Trump?" Right? Usually, that's the gut reaction most people will give. It sounded like almost like he treated it as part of his vocabulary. That was really nice. That was my first time ever running into that. But I'm very vocal about complaining about things, and I think I need both hands to count the number of people I've caused to get Donald Trump from their jobs over various things like that. It was New Year's Day in 2024. I had, I sometimes don't dress very well. I will give that. Sometimes when I'm out especially if I'm by myself, if I'm out with a girl, I might dress well, but when I'm out by myself, I tend to be very relaxed. I had kept very long hair at the time, and the security guard of the bowling alley that I went to probably assumed I was homeless. I had finished up bowling and I was looking at this information about this bowling league, and he opened up with that I needed to order something or get out of here, something like that. And it really upset me, and I did not respond very well to that. Long story short, he threatened to call the police, and I told him, you better call them because I don't like the way you're interacting with me. I got back home and I wrote an email to the management. Again, this is a bowling alley, so they have very good security footage. Long story short, I've since become a loyal customer there, and obviously the security guard got Donald Trump from his job. Um, you guys already know my infamous story about what happened when I had COVID-19 last summer during the heat wave. I was so sick and unwell at the time. I didn't really follow up with that, but I recently learned that the security guard involved in that got Donald Trump from his job over an unrelated situation. I've become very close friends with one of the employees there. I try to shop during the evening hours because I ran into the security guard during the daytime. But a couple weeks ago, I went during the daytime to look for him so I could talk to him and see how he feels about it a year later, now that the heat wave is back. But I learned he got Donald Trump from his job. When I talked to the employee that I know there, he explained that the security guard had a habit of surfing the web on his phone while on the clock. And so it sounded like the guard isn't even interested in his job. He's looking for action, right? Stopping somebody who's recovering from COVID is, first of all, it's very low risk, right? You got somebody who's under the weather, they're probably not going to fight you, right? And It's an exciting situation, right? Stopping somebody who's stealing $1,000 big screen TV is just too routine for him, right? He'd rather surf the web and let the $1,000 TV walk out the door. That's the feeling I got when I talked to this one of his colleagues that I befriended at the store. That's really the feeling I got. This guy's just looking for action rather than a job, right? So that was nice. A couple days ago, I got another security guard, Donald Trump, from another grocery store. What had happened was it was once again 105 degrees, and the security guard was harassing another customer for quote unquote sleeping in the dining area. The customer had basically, well dressed and everything, just closed her eyes. It's a hot day, and I explained to the security guard, "Excuse me, would you mind going outside and seeing how hot it is? People are disoriented. It's no big deal." And I said it in a very low volume, just like I was explaining something to just like I would explain to a friend if they were making a mistake with how they used their phone or something like that, right? It wasn't in a loud way or anything. And the security guard reacted with, "Do you want me to kick you out of the store?" Something to that effect. And I finished up what I was doing. I packed up. I took a note of the time because I didn't know the security guard's name. And I contacted the store. And the store told me that, they've had other trouble with the guard too. And that store I shop quite a bit, actually. Uh, I I hang out in public all the time, and I use that cafeteria all the time. I haven't seen that guard again, and I used to see him almost every day. I was on a plane one time. I got to be careful when I fly. I fly in basic economy. It's a very cramped place, and I have food allergies. So I got to tell people sitting next to me to be mindful when they're eating. I never restrict what people eat at their seats, as long as they can keep it to their area, right? As far as I'm concerned, the person next to me could be messing with plutonium or whatever you want, as long as they can keep it to their area, right? So I was telling the person sitting next to me, and I told one of the flight attendants, just be mindful when you're serving the food. And the person sitting next to me was very nice about it. The flight attendant barked out that, why are you flying if it's that big a problem? Something to that effect. And I very calmly told the flight attendant, because I have a conference to go to. I basically de-escalated. She was like, "Why are you flying?" "Because I have a conference to go to in Amsterdam," or wherever it was. And the flight attendant just completely lost it at that. And so after she left, I told the person sitting next to me, "God, I hope she gets Donald Trump I hope she gets Donald Trump." And the person sitting next to me didn't understand what Donald Trump meant. This was in 2016, just before the election between Trump and Clinton. And Trump was running on a platform of deporting people, obviously. And the guy sitting next to me said, "I don't think she's even from America. How could she be deported?" I said, "No, no, fired from her job, just like The Apprentice." And it was like, "Oh." And then from then on, we said, well, I guess they're similar, right? From now on, Donald Trump could just mean to get rid of, right? Whether it be from a job or from a country, right? This is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum.